Hi, welcome to our fourth tutorial here from Replay Studios, where we've been talking about a few aspects of equalization that you could use to enhance any type of musical production. I've probably done this before. This is Replay Studios. This is where we're coming to you from sometimes sunny Portugal. You can visit us at replaystudios.net, and here is just a few images of the studio and of some of our equipment, so you can see that we are very well endowed, no pun intended, maybe. And the song that we'll be manipulating is from a band called Fortune's Fool. And the band is essentially me with a few friends. This is me. So let's just dig into the third process that I usually apply when equalizing. As I said before, there are two types of equalization. Essentially, there's a corrective equalization or surgical, where you essentially take away what you don't need. Then there's another type of equalization, which is character EQ or enhancement EQ. And that means that you're not trying to balance the sound in and of itself. You're just trying to make it sound a bit sweeter or a bit duller or something of that nature, whereas you actually impart on it some type of artistic or creative view. If you've seen the other two EQ tutorials, we'll just do the same steps that we applied before, just as a type of practice. We'll apply the same steps as before, and then we'll apply a little bit of the enhanced EQ or the corrective, not the corrective, the character EQ, so it just sounds good. So that it sounds better than live. It's the same thing as Photoshop. You're just trying to make it feel a bit better. But essentially, only apply character EQ after you've used the surgical EQ. Okay, so just to go over what we've done before. Once again, using Logic Pro spectrum analyzer with the analyzer decay set to a very slow reactance. We'll put the music through it once again. And this section is this section is a small synth part. So let me do this, okay? Sorry, just adjusting the microphone. Let's just put the music through the spectrum analyzer again and analyze it. Here we go. Okay, the sound has been analyzed. Just a second. The sound has been analyzed, and we can see once again that we've got a lot of unneeded low rumble. So as before, as specified before, I'll apply the filter once again. This, for example, if the filter was set here, then we're using it for artistic reasons. That could be the beginning of the song, for example, and you could roll off. Okay, now we've got the full sound. Secondly, we can see that this sector here, more or less around 1K, is just a little bit too peaked in regards to this fall off here is actually the kind of fall off that you're looking for. Okay, very evenly falling down. This is just a bit jagged. So what you could do, what I would suggest, I recommend doing something of this nature. Just pulling down in that sector. Once again, it's not anything drastic. Just at least we know where this sound bite needs a little bit of work. Later on in context of the whole mix, then we could actually come in here in relation to other instruments and manipulate it a bit more or a bit less. But at least we know that this is the point where it's just a little bit rich, too rich. Okay, so let's hear it once without any type of EQ, without any type of filtering, and then with the filter applied. Okay, that would seem to be the best solution. Now, these are the main corrective types of EQ that you could use. Now, essentially corrective EQs, as I said before, are cuts where you're reducing the volume of the sound material. After this stage, and if you feel artistically inclined to do this, you could put some type of enhancing on the EQ. And what I mean by enhancing, I will boost certain frequencies so that they become a little bit more predominant. You can use a very good type of EQ for this is an old EQ. You don't need these things, but they were around for a specific reason. I'm not quite sure if you've heard of a Pultec EQ. This is legacy. This should be. I haven't got the new stuff from from Universal Audio. This is the older model. And what happens is that these EQs are very good at enhancing, at boosting, because of the way that they're made. Very clean, very open. And these types of EQs were essentially around to do exactly that, to boost frequencies. You don't need to go and buy this. You can do the same thing with this type of equalizer, but it's good to know more or less what type of tricks they used in the Pultec type of equalizer. So as I said before, it's essentially a boosting equalizer. So let's apply a boost on this synth part that we have here, and see how we can slightly alter the characteristics of the sound. Okay, you can hear that the sound now is thicker. Sound is much thicker, and it would be the kind of sound that you would use, for example, if the synth was going to play by itself. If you're going to use it in a dense mix, then it could be a bit of a problem. But as of itself, you could actually see that it's quite a good solution. I'll switch it on and off to see the difference. Okay, so you can see that I'm not just applying these things indiscriminately. I'm actually trying to carve the sound spectrum so that this curve, so that it looks in a certain way. I'm actually trying to sculpt what's going on. And what we can see is that this band over here, we could actually just dip it down a little bit more and open it out a bit. So let's play that again. As you can see, the spectrum is slowly decaying. We use this for one reason. The scientific studies and research have showed that that which is most pleasing to our ear is this type of decay, something that is more or less even and smooth over the whole frequency range. So let's just see how this sounds, because it could sound bad. I hope it doesn't, but it could not sound good. But it should. It should. Without EQ. Okay, so you can see without the EQ it sounds a bit thin. It sounds a bit anemic. And you would usually want to beef that up a bit. What's going on here is just a little bit exaggerated. I would probably attenuate these things. Let me just go through it once again. This is all trial and error because I don't really know what I'm going to be manipulating. And you by actually analyzing each sound, you sculpt it into and of itself, and then apply the second type of EQ to make it enhanced or artistic. Okay, rather thin, rather not that nice. Mellow. Okay, the sound is thicker and it's mellow. Now, we could a type of boost that I really use a lot. It's probably my it's my favorite type of character EQ. It is an EQ curve called a Backsandal curve, and all that means is, as you can see, we have our peak filters over here with the Q or the range affecting more or less frequencies, and as you can see, this is affecting only the frequency that we've chosen, in this case about 5,000 hertz. And if we open the Q, then it starts to influence a larger range. Okay, the brilliant thing about the Backsandal EQ is that it is made in such a way that is pleasing to the ear. And what the Backsandal EQ actually does is it pushes the peak frequency all the way to the top, all the way to the very top, or all the way to the very bottom if you're looking to enhance the bass frequencies, for example, the kick drum or the bass guitar. With the Backsandal, you spell it Backsandall. Okay, it's a strange name. I think it's actually some type of scientist's name. Backsandall. Look it up, and there's a lot of literature about this online. And what you do with the Backsandal EQ is you use a very large or a very low Q rate range, meaning that you affect a whole lot of frequencies. In this case, I would probably use something such as this. This works very well, and then the only thing you have to do to give that sense of air to your recordings, because as I said before, this curve is pleasing to the ear. The only thing you have to do is push this up, or for another type of filtering, you bring it down. If you bring it down, you actually make things look as if they're further away. I'll apply this now just so that you can see what it's actually doing. as you can see, it's very natural. It sounds very good. There's all the frequencies that are being manipulated in a very subtle manner, and you could see it towards the end that I was pushing it up way more than I needed, but it was never harsh. It was always very, very, very pleasing. I'll push it down this time, and you'll be able to see how it makes the instrument seem as if it's further away, which sometimes is very good in a mix, because not everything will be up front. If, for example, this synth part was used as a solo, then instead of actually making it louder with the volume fader, I could use a bit of EQ doing the same thing, only in a certain frequency band. Okay, I'll go through the positive side to give it the boost, and then the cut to make it seem as if it's further away. Okay, this sounds good as an important part. So what we have actually done now, okay, the three steps, always practically the same. First is cut with your high pass filter. With the frequency analyzer, inspect and see where you have certain resonant frequencies that just stick out a little bit too much and bring them in a bit. Then, if you want, apply some character EQ. Character EQ, generally speaking, is very broad. As you can see, this section over here is a very broad Q. It's okay. If it's over there, what we try and do is make everything. We don't do this, for example. Never sounds natural, never sounds good. Make everything wide, as wide as possible, and just not anything terribly exaggerated. 5 dBs is a lot. Believe me, 5 dBs is a lot. It doesn't seem like that much, no, because the frequency analyzer is not telling the whole story. So let's just hear the synth with the EQ and then without. Okay, it just isn't that interesting. I do believe this is just a little bit too much. Bring that down something. This up just a little bit more, and bring this down to something in this region. And Bob's your uncle, as they say. Should be good. Okay, very pleased with this type of sound. I always do the same thing. Always. Analyze your sound file. Reduce where you don't need anything. You should do that actually to all your sound files. To do that, that's the first thing you do. You apply the beauty EQs after everything's been filtered. Okay, now you can hear with just a little bit of effect, just a little bit of reverb. You can see that it just lives in a better sense in sound. Okay, that's all for now. Good mixing, good recording, good music. Please subscribe at the end, and we'll see you soon.